All right. Hello. Welcome to State of Play on Mint Press News. I'm currently traveling in the great city of Boston right now. So the hotel internet's been kind of spotty. So we'll see if this live stream goes through. Hope y'all are doing well. It's currently like 19 degrees Fahrenheit outside. So I've just been hibernating and reading things, getting ready for this episode. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Yeah. So first of all, I'm just going to, as people are still filtering into the live stream, this is kind of going to set the thematic basis for what we're talking about tonight. This was from a couple of days ago.
Declared an organization.
This is U.S. Senator Jack Reed, senator from Rhode Island, in a congressional hearing interviewing U.S. Air Force General if he would strike citizens inside the continental United States if given that order.
A terrorist organization, or DTO, which is on a secret list.
Designated terrorist organization. The FBI gets to compile lists of these designated terrorist organizations, and they are not available for any sort of oversight. They are classified secret, and no, you can't see them, and no, you don't know if you're on them. It's a holdover from the glorious global war on terror.
You were ordered to attack them on U.S. soil. Would you carry out that order?
Senator Reed, as with any order I would assess the order, consult the legal authorities to ensure that it was a lawful order, and I would, if I had questions, I would elevate that to the chairman and the secretary, as they welcome at all times. And if I had no concerns and I was confident in the lawful order, I would definitely execute that.
Cool. So it's becoming more and more of a security concern. Like, are we going to start drone striking people in the continental United States? And that's all going to be done under the aegis of terrorism. As we can remember, one of the deputies of the FBI got in front of a Senate Select Committee hearing last week, I believe, and absolutely blew it, trying to gin up some sort of consent for labeling Antifa as an organized terrorist organization, which would basically just give the administration carte blanche to target any sort of political dissident. Just to jog your memory, or if you didn't see this,
Antifa headquarters.
So this is an FBI official. I think he's the deputy of operations. Oh crap, I forget. Like maybe Breakthrough News will post it, responding to questioning. Yeah, that's Michael Galsheen, National Security Branch, FBI.
What we're doing right now with the organization.
Where in the United States does Antifa exist? Yeah. If it's a terrorist organization and you've identified it as number one.
We are building out the infrastructure right now.
So what does that mean? We're trying to get the information. You say Antifa is a terrorist organization. Tell us as a committee, how did you come to that? Where do they exist? How many members do they have in the United States as of right now?
Well, that's very fluid. It's ongoing for us to understand that. The same, no different than.
Look, bro, trust me, it's fluid, okay? Like, we don't know how many members, because like it's a dynamic. I can't with these buzzwords that exist in these defense circles. It's really bringing me back.
Al Qaeda and ISIS.
No, I don't want you. I'll ask one question, sir. I just want you to tell us. If you said Antifa is the number one domestic terrorist organization operating in the United States, I just need to know where they are, how many people. I don't want a name. I don't want anything like that. Just how many people have you identified with the FBI that Antifa is made of?
Come on, dude, you can do
The
it.
investigations are active.
Sir, you wouldn't come to this committee and say something you can't prove. I know you wouldn't do that. But you did.
Look, guys, the Antifa thing is not sticking right now, okay? That hasn't been a long enough lead up time to start like drone striking Antifa members, but we can always fall back on the Palestine movement. We've got a lot to talk about today. We've got the Jasmine Crockett, Texas thing, a new FBI investigation into Turtle Island Liberation Front, where they arrested 4 members for being pro-Palestine, anti-capitalist. Apparently, they were building some sort of pipe bombs to detonate on the new year. We're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking about the shooting in Australia and connecting all these things together into a propaganda campaign, which is meant to enforce the will of the transnational Western capitalist class, which is fun. But anyways, if you're picking up what we're putting down here on Mint Press News, you can support us on Patreon. But really, we have been pretty heavily targeted and debanked. PayPal no longer happening. Now a fundraiser that we just put in for Indiegogo to pay some of the staff writers got blocked. No reason, just Indiegogo, the fundraising platform, says we violated their best practices rules, and gave no reason. So if you would like to contribute to what we're doing here, we can't do that fundraising platform anymore. So you can go directly to the Mint Press News websites if you want to help us out. Either way, we're just glad you're here. If you can like, share, subscribe, and spread the word. Okay, so that happened, and let's start talking and getting into tonight's subject. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about my home state of Texas, but it is important. It's the 8th largest economy in the world. It's heavily influenced by Zionist influence. Sorry, that was repetitive. And it's just a really important state within the United States, which means it's very important on the world stage. And we have a very controversial Senate run in the guise of Jasmine Crockett. And then, of course, we're going to get to the Bondi Beach shooting as well. So let's just talk about how this entire movement, the Palestine movement, is being framed by liberal influencers and the kind of information war that's surrounding it right now.
Jasmine Crockett slander. Straight up, there is no bigger L to take than you leftists helping Trump get elected. Nobody's listening to you anymore.
Okay, first of all, no one listened to us. And second of all, that is not reflected by the data at all. Also, you could just be like, hey, guys, genocide's bad. Maybe don't do that. And this would be a non-issue. But continue.
You're wasting everybody's time. No one's material conditions are better. You wanted people to suffer so you could prove a point, and the point has been proven that you all are complicit in supporting what has been the worst presidency in the history of the United States.
We've been complicit in continuing a long list of the worst presidencies in the United States. Interesting to bring up material conditions too when you're not actually doing an analysis of material conditions. It's all vibes. Yeah, but like I think what he's referring to is like he thinks people who are on the Palestine bandwagon wanted like the material conditions to get even worse for working people, so there'd be some sort of like Leninist armed revolution that was going to happen. Nobody was saying that, but then again, these are the liberal fever dreams that happen when approaching these kind of issues. When you dare to question or try to hold accountable people's star celebrity politician.
So no, nobody's listening to you all. No, you're not going to name call us into supporting your nonsense. I'm going to vote for who I want to. You can go ahead and do that yourself. I'm going to use my voice the way I want to. You can use yours the way you do. But at the end of the day, I can support more than one marginalized group, and I certainly have enough nuance to understand that I can not hurt people doing that. Y'all are indeed frustrating.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to support any sort of marginalized group when you are supporting capitalism, especially late stage, violent, financialized, rentier capitalism. But of course, someone like Jasmine Crockett is never going to challenge any of that. So, I kind of have a few things to say about this. First of all, guys, fellas, comrades, things are going to get worse real quick because breaking now, the FBI has arrested 4 members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front. More on that later. A far left, pro Palestine, anti government, and anti capitalist group, to quote Attorney General Pam Bondi, for allegedly plotting to blow up targets in Southern California on New Year's Eve. So whether or not this is entirely ginned up or not, the FBI not being exactly like trustworthy at the moment, taken in the context with the recent mass shootings in Australia being framed as, this is what happens when you globalize the intifada, and the recent controversy in Texas over Jasmine Crockett's stance on Israel, we are seeing a reactionary and opportunistic push by the transnational Western elite and their conservative and liberal patsy content creators to really tighten the screws on the Palestine cause. And it really makes sense because this movement presents a direct challenge to global financialized capital and the social and economic brutality that stems from it. The brutality that this guy was saying that we're responsible for because Trump got elected because Harris was a deeply unlikable cop landlord that, nobody got excited about. Even, how much glue you were sniffing at the DNC. The problem with Jasmine Crockett's self-described allyship with Israel isn't necessarily about a bunch of dirty leftists caring more about people half a world away, which is the liberal framing of it. The problem is that AIPAC and CUFI, Christians United for Israel, and associated lobbies are a mechanism by which the ruling class here in America communicates and asserts their will to the politicians that serve them. So basically, Israel, within the context of the American empire, and we talk about this all the time, sits at the crossroads of 3 different continents, expanding U.S. strategic dominion. It's also the crossroads between the defense sector, energy sector, real estate development ventures with Gulf states, both in and outside the continental United States, the tech sector, and it creates so much egregious regional instability that it basically gives us an excuse to further expand the for-profit national security state, i.e. bringing in and inflaming ISIS and Al-Qaeda and stuff like that. It also has a very important imperial purpose, just like Taiwan and just like South Korea, in our campaign to strategically deny Russia and primarily China. So all the U.S. billionaires, with diversified interests in all these sectors, basically only about 15 to 20% of whom are Jewish, sorry, all you Zog weirdos, at least tacitly support AIPAC, right? And AIPAC's donors also support anti-union groups too, which they can all get on board with. It's kind of crazy how AIPAC is also connected directly to union busting. And AIPAC calls for the expansion of the police and carceral state, which disproportionately affects people of color, to protect Jewish interests, which is just a smokescreen for capitalist interests. So when you have a milquetoast position on Zionist influence in our government, especially the Texas government, which is so heavily invested in Israel, we know you don't have working class politics like that liberal influencer. What? Okay. Yeah, if you can't see a liberatory struggle from every angle connected to Palestine and the Zionist influence in our government, which is basically just an extension of capitalism and U.S. empire, I don't know what to tell you. You are a corporate Democrat in sheep's clothing at best, and some of us are just done being gaslit by a bunch of libs and shamed into supporting your favorite celebrity politician who will always side with the people who put them into power. We call y'all blue MAGA because you're political reactionaries who are racking up I fell for it again awards, just like original OG red MAGA. So now there's an elite campaign, an agenda moral panic against Palestine again. Why? Because, guys, please don't connect Palestine to the real estate market or the AI-driven police state that was tested in Palestine, or the crushing of labor movements bound up with Zionist interests, or the annihilation of indigenous land rights here in America, or how socialist ideologies will soon equal terrorism. Just vote for the corporate imperial girl boss who won't have any influence, or who claims won't have any influence over foreign policy, even though she's running for Senate in the 8th largest economy on the planet. Do not criticize our politicians. Don't hold them accountable for anything. It's called harm reduction. Oh my God. Oh my God. The past, as a Texan, like looking at the discourse for like the past week about the Jasmine Crockett has been insufferable. And all of these like DNC, bootlicking, blue MAGA reactionary chuds, cannibalistic humanoid underground denizens, that shill for the Democratic Party. What they like to do is they like to focus on like left-wing female influencers and journalists like Taylor Lorenz or I.M. Blakely or Amanda Seales, and just like dogpile them when they have the temerity to like question any of their politicians. So, yeah, that's fun. That's what I've been watching. I've had a fever the entire time. I've had COVID. I think it was COVID. I think I got it back flying from the MPAC conference in DC. But yeah, I had a fever the entire time. So I've just been wanting to get my hot take on the whole Jasmine Crockett thing. Jesus Christ, it's been absolutely insufferable. So I just wanted to bring that up and to kind of like frame this, everything that's happening, everything we're going to see, like when we look at the propaganda surrounding the attacks in Australia, the new FBI investigation into the Turtle Island Liberation Front. And I don't really know this group. I didn't follow them. They have less than 1,000 for like a pro-Palestine indigenous land rights organization. They have less than 1,000 followers, which is kind of like, that's weird. Like usually you see 5,000, 10,000, but yeah. Yeah. So it's all bizarre, but and whether or not these things are false flags or ginned up or just complete coincidences, they're going to be used as a way to manufacture a tightening down on any sort of political dissent. And because the Antifa thing's not sticking right now, guess what will? The Palestine thing, especially since Netanyahu's got involved in the mix. And now that the ICC has just today shot down Israel's attempt to block an investigation into war crimes in Gaza. So the investigation is going to go ahead. So they're really going to ramp down on this, all these interests. So I guess we should start now with Bondi Beach. Okay, I know you guys have a lot of thoughts about this. Just to get everybody caught up, I found the most recent segment from Sky News.
Police and died at the scene. Improvised.
So as you know, a father-son duo started shooting up people at a Hanukkah celebration in Bondi Beach in Australia.
Explosive devices were recovered from the deceased gunman's vehicle at Bondi Beach, according to police. Officials said Sajid was part of a gun club and held a recreational hunting license for over a decade. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mal Lanyon said the officials were still looking into the pair's background because they knew, quote, very little about them. The BBC reported that Minister for Home Affairs Tony Burke inferred that Sajid had permanent residency in Australia and arrived in the country reportedly from Pakistan on a student visa in 1998. His son Naveed is an Australian citizen who, according to the Times UK, worked as a bricklayer but had been out of a job for weeks prior to the shooting. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese confirmed that Naveed had come to the attention of the country's intelligence officials in 2019, but was given a clean bill of health, with no indication that he would engage in violence. According to a report from ABC, officials said they had taken an interest in Naveed after he was found to be an associate of Isaac El-Matari, a radicalized Sydney man who was arrested and jailed for starting a local Islamic State cell and planning terror attacks. Australia's intelligence chief Mike Burgess confirmed that one of the gunmen was known to the agency, but was not deemed an immediate threat. He said the agency was looking into the matter. ABC.
The amount of people who are being investigated, or the amount of these mass shooters who have been looked at by intelligence agencies and local law enforcement and then deemed to not be a threat, but they end up like lighting up a complete public place over the past year has been insane.
He reported that investigators from Australia's Joint Counter-Terrorism Team believe the gunman had pledged allegiance to an Islamic State terrorism group. Officials told the outlet anonymously that 2 IS flags were found inside the father-son duo's car at the ravaged beach. Despite
Okay, guys, where's the SSC photos? All right, you know, usually like when there's a drug bust or they find a manifesto or when they find a weapons cache or cache, they usually immediately publish that. So until I see Islamic State flags and you're just using a stock photo that you found on Getty Images, I'm going to be like, what's up, guys? Come on. Yeah, so that's an issue. There's a whole lot of issues. I know a lot of people have brought up the fact that his name was Googled in Tel Aviv a few days before the attack. I mean, that seems to happen a lot recently. Still, it's not like, for me personally, compelling evidence as of yet for any sort of like false flag operation, of course.
cops reportedly being nearby, the gunman went unchallenged for more than 10 minutes. It wasn't until a heroic shopkeeper tackled and disarmed one of the terrorists that police appeared to return fire. Shocking video captured the moment that 43-year-old Ahmed Al-Ahmed, wearing a white shirt, sneaked up behind the shotgun-wielding gunman and wrestled the weapon away from him. After a daring struggle, Ahmed, who owns a local fruit stand, then pointed the weapon at the terrorist, who fell to the ground before scampering away. Ahmed was shot twice in the arm by the second terrorist during the heroic actions and was taken to a hospital for surgery. In the aftermath of the attack, Australian officials are now considering bolstering the country's firearm laws in New South Wales. Australia has been notoriously harsh on firearms ownership and cracked down following the 1996 mass shooting in Port Arthur, Tasmania.
Yeah, so if you've been watching like conservative people on Twitter, they're like, "Oh, Australia, how are those gun laws working out for you?" Because they have a lot of gun control in Australia. Yeah, after that notorious shooting. And, you know, they've had one mass shooting a year pretty much since that happened. Whereas in the United States, we've had 389 mass shootings in the past year. That's more than one a day. So like, what, guy? Come on. So, yeah, I guess. And then of course, you know, there's really no evidence linking either of these guys to like the Palestine movement or really to any sort of ideology. Apparently there is an ISIS flag found. Still haven't seen any SSC photos of that. A bunch of weird Google searches were made in Tel Aviv of this exact name before it happened. Father-son duo. A lot of people are saying false flag. Again, I really don't like to make a determination about that because the performative effect of whether this was a false flag or just a coincidence or kind of like some pseudo or some kind of like hybrid of the two, like radicalized by an intelligence officer in a chat room and then taking up arms. That's been happening before. That's happened before. That's in the FBI playbook. I don't know. But the bottom line is that the propagandists have used this to connect this to the Palestine issue and support of Muslims in general. They're really trying to ramp up this I need to stop looking at the comments section. Ramp up this global war on terror hysteria too. And it's not just official like AIPAC and ADL and Israel accounts doing this. It's also their paid influencer shills who are a massive part of the apparatus itself, just like the liberal DNC people defending Jasmine Crockett, denouncing the Palestine movement and saying like, shut up about your criticism of AIPAC. We're sick of hearing it. You have that with the liberals, the center right, and then you have this coming from the right itself, pulling it up.
Attacked a Hanukkah event in Australia today, and all I can say is to.
So Akaya Willis, she is a self-described ex-leftist that went full right and Israeli propagandist.
The people who have been marching in the streets calling to globalize the Intifada, this is what you have been asking for. To the government officials who have legitimized terrorism with the performative activism of recognizing a Palestinian state, this is what you have justified.
So what she's referring to is Australia has recently, their parliament has recently voted to recognize the Palestine state. And of course, you know, Australia being one of the Western countries, that's a huge deal and a huge threat for the Israeli government. You know, what's next? South Africa? What's next? France? What's next? The United States itself. So yes, they're definitely trying to really gin up and make the biggest meal out of this attack possible.
All of the people who have been turning a blind eye to the attacks on synagogues, Jewish schools, Jewish businesses, and Jewish neighborhoods while claiming that anti-Semitism isn't a real problem, this is what you have been ignoring. To the people who are going to try to turn this tragedy into raising awareness for Islamophobia, this is what you are trying to gaslight us into accepting. To the conspiracy theorists trying to rewrite reality, this is the horror your lies are trying to obscure. And to the people who are already claiming that the Jews who were killed deserved it, because you believe that Israel should have let its citizens meet the same fate.
Okay, I don't know. I know all those people from all those camps except this one.
You are beyond disgusting. You have lost all of your humanity, and the devil himself is envious of the darkness of your souls.
Okay, so of course, using a actual legitimate terrorist attack to basically spread propaganda for the Israeli project is what's happening right now, right? We've talked so much about how Israel needs actual legitimate anti-Semitism and fear stoked within the diaspora community itself in order to justify its existence. Because it can't really sustain itself. It doesn't have any strategic or economic depth. It has to be supported by the U.S. militarily, politically, and economically. And a lot of that economic support basically comes from the capitalist Epstein class there in America. Everybody in the ruling class supports Israel for a whole bunch of different reasons. And yes, a lot of the AIPAC money that comes in to influence our elections and to lobby politicians and other groups comes from the United States itself. So when this happens, all the rich diaspora Jews double down and they get even more support for Israel when these things happen. And so that's why they're trying to frame this within the lens of Palestine, even though there is no reason to think that. And, of course, the person who stopped the attack was a Lebanese man, and the propagandists at the time, if you were on X, were trying to frame it as like, oh, guys, don't worry. He wasn't actually a Muslim. He was a Maronite Christian from Lebanon. Thank you, Christians. Yeah. So that happened, and that was absolutely insane. So, but also like par for the course. Now, of course, I do want to bring up the fact that this is contemporaneous almost to the day, and we knew this verdict was coming, to this. Breaking earlier this morning, the ICC rejects Israeli bid to block Gaza war crimes investigation. The decision comes amid mounting international pressure over the humanitarian toll of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. So luckily, this attack happened before another PR blow was suffered by the Israeli state. The appeal focused, of course, Israel appealed the ICC warrants issued for Benjamin Netanyahu and Itamar Ben-Gvir. But this particular appeal focused on whether the ICC prosecutor, Karim Khan, who was threatened by the Israeli state, was required to issue a fresh notification to Israel before investigating events that took place after October 7th. So this was a completely procedural thing that they were trying to block. And the judges rejected the argument in the ICC, ruling that the original notification issued in 2021, when the ICC formally opened its investigation into alleged war crimes in occupied Palestine, already covered the later events. The thrust of their argument was because when Palestine became a non-member state and was thus subject to the ICC, the Rome Statute, the ICC immediately opened up an investigation into Israel. And they're saying because that was pre-October 7th, that they needed to start a whole new investigation and get a whole new dossier of war crimes applications started. So it was a delaying tactic. It didn't work. The ruling comes as the Israeli assault on Gaza continues to exact a devastating toll. And again, as this mass murder happened, this act of terror happened in Australia, we have to keep in mind that at least 391 Palestinians, probably over 400, have been killed, wounded, since the ceasefire took place. So that doesn't really seem like much of a ceasefire. But of course, we're using this as a distracting tactic, right? I think someone says, yeah, kakistocracy, we are ruled by idiots. I couldn't agree more. But the thing is, like, guys, this works on people. It really does. Because we have this old, like, engendered, conditioned hatred and fear of, like, Muslims, of the globe, like the axis of terror, like the new axis of evil that Bush really tried to gin up, connecting like Iraq to North Korea to Iran, like the axis of terror. Like, these are old ideas that a lot of people get activated when things happen like that. And, I'd say Ruby K says this crap works on the ignorant. But yeah, most people are like not media literate, and they're not as knowledgeable as you, because like it takes work to learn about this stuff, and they're just not doing it. So unfortunately, this kind of stuff works. But people are kind of sick of it on both the left and the right, and this brings us to the next terror plot that was uncovered today by Kash Patel's Federal Bureau of Investigation. And this was only breaking a couple hours ago. I didn't have a lot of time to work on this, but let's just see what we're working with over in California. Again, this brings in pro-Palestine terrorism.
Takedown. Prosecutors have charged 4 members of an alleged extremist group accused of plotting New Year's Eve bombings in California.
Eyewitness News reporter Carlos Granda is live in Westwood with new details from this morning's news conference. Carlos.
Well, that's right. Federal authorities say they stopped a New Year's Eve terror plot involving Southern California, and 4 people are now under arrest. The FBI says the suspects had a plan to carry out simultaneous bombings on New Year's Eve using backpacks rigged with improvised explosive devices. Now, here you see some surveillance video. Officials say it's the suspects as they plan to build and test the bombs. This was in...
Yeah, it looks like they drove out to the California desert. Maybe to a national park. We do see a campfire there to allegedly build these things. And they had a drone on them the whole time.
Lucerne Valley, and shortly after this video was taken, the suspects were arrested. Now, they're allegedly part of a group called the Turtle Island Liberation Front, and they're identified as Audrey Carroll, Zachary Page, Tina Lay, and Dante Gaffield. Officials would not release any information about the target locations, only saying that they are logistics companies engaged in interstate and commerce. Now, investigators are also looking into online activity connected to the case. An Instagram account known as the Turtle Liberation publicly posted content advocating violence against U.S. officials. And according to the FBI, a recent post called for a revolution and urged supporters to organize and be ready. Officials say they also found items that said, "Death to America" and "Long live Palestine."
These bombs were to blow up at the same time on midnight this New Year's Eve. The plan stated that the IEDs would be complex pipe bombs. It included instructions on how to manufacture the bombs and contained guidance on how to avoid leaving evidence behind that could be traced back to them.
Now, officials say there are more members to this group, but they believe they have arrested all of those who were specifically involved in this New Year's Eve plot. The suspects are expected to make their first appearance in court sometime this afternoon. Reporting live from Westwood, I'm Carlos Granda, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
A terror takedown.
Okay, yeah. And so the limited amount of investigation I've been able to do onto these guys, they are a hang on, let me pull up their official social media. Yeah, so this is them, Turtle Island Liberation Front out of Los Angeles. Yeah, I don't really know anyone that follows them. There are some things that stick out to me as kind of weird. This for me, this is the weirdest thing. As you know, I run punk benefit shows, or I've done a number of punk benefit shows for Palestine. Punk show fundraisers. Okay, so what this is weird is this is not a a font that you would use for a punk show. Also, where's the bands? You don't post a benefit show without a flyer for the actual band. Like, who are the bands? Who signed up to play at this punk show? As something like, as someone who organizes shows, I'm like, what the actual fuck? We are looking to put together a punk show in February. Yeah, this is not how you. It's just weird. Okay, that's all I'm saying. It's weird. It's not how benefit shows are done at all. And yeah, I don't know who these guys are. Apparently, they've got like some brown berets. Again, it's a weird style. This one just says "Death to America." I don't know. It's weird. You guys can post in the comment what you think. Again, I don't have enough information to go off here. I don't think anybody does. As someone said, the FBI doesn't have punk bands. I mean, if they did, they'd be really shitty, like Sex Pistol cover bands, though. Again, absolutely bizarre. So let's, sorry, we're kind of doing this live because this story is like actually breaking right now. And I just want to see if they actually showed up into court today. All right, the WAPO just updated an article. Oh, it's asking me to pay. I thought I paid on this account. So, yeah, I'm just looking through stuff. Sorry, bear with me, guys. The 4 people who arrested, who were members of the radical faction, a violent homegrown anti-government group. Yeah, they plan to plant backpacks containing IEDs at multiple locations, targeting U.S. companies. I assume they would like to say arms manufacturers, but they're not saying that. Yeah, so apparently they all appeared in court this afternoon. I don't think we're going to know anything tonight unless they're in court right now, because actually I'm on the East Coast. It's 5:45 p.m. where I'm at, so that means it's 2:45 p.m. So they're actually probably in court right now. If you look at this article, this looks so weird, guys. Let me just share the screen on this one. This is from ABC, and it says Carol and other participants are alleged to have formed a signal chat known as the Order of the Black Lotus, which Carol deemed a radical faction. Okay. Yeah, apparently, like, this is what was found. This is the evidence presented by the U.S. Justice Department in the indictment of 4 alleged members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front. Okay, so let's zoom in. I've been to a lot of protests, a lot of radical ones. I definitely don't see death to ICE with triangles. I usually see abolish ICE or fuck ICE or 1312. Death to America is not something you generally see at U.S. protests or even direct action events. Experienced direct action people will take a pretty nonviolent adversarial stance when it comes to messaging while getting arrested and beaten by the cops. Has anyone heard of Liberator magazine? I need to look at that. Yeah, it's just again, I don't know. It's just weird. So basically what we're kind of seeing is a concerted transnational effort between governments and between people to kind of reframe all of this. And just like, Jasmine Crockett really brought out all the liberals attacking the Palestine cause, which I established in my opening essay, it directly mirrors or is directly responsible for the interests of the ruling class, how they're all making this kind of Palestine movement completely radioactive. Between Jasmine Crockett and the backlash that the left got for supporting Palestine and criticizing her, then we got the Bondi Beach shooting, and then we've got this. I don't know if it's coordinated. A lot of this stuff is completely opportunistic, but they're definitely drilling down to make the Palestine movement as a left-wing position absolutely radioactive. And of course, because they've changed the language around the ceasefire in Gaza that people just like now assume it's just a ceasefire, and people are accepting what's happening. They're like, okay, this issue's dead. Why are you annoying people still talking about this? And again, whether or not it's coordinated, it looks pretty or whether or not it started off as not being coordinated, just a series of coincidences, which seems kind of weird, not impossible. Now it's definitely giving coordination vibes. And of course, someone just said it's called a peace fire. It's interesting. I've never heard that before. That's kind of, what we're looking at here, unfortunately. So fun. And again, like this, every death, however they lament it, is a weapon. This imperial propaganda is ranging now from California to Texas to Australia. And you know what? It seems to be working, like over the holidays where people really don't have anything else to do except like pay attention to the news. Not a lot of people are working right now. This is the last show I'm doing until after the holidays. So I guess we're just going to sit around and have plenty of time to think about the Palestine movement and all the goddamn lefty terrorists, because Antifa didn't work. So now we got to reframe the whole damn thing. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? And, this was kind of like a rush segment because I was in transit the whole time. So remember, we have about like 20 minutes left. So if you want to do Q&A and like have a discussion about it, let's do it. Someone says, Turtle Island Liberation Front are imaginary radicals set by establishment to discredit the pro-Palestine groups. It does. Having worked with so many groups in this space, they do seem freaking weird, man. Again, I can't get past the thing in my own skill set. What I do in terms of like one avenue of my activism is make punk benefit shows happen. First of all, if you're in the punk scene, that's not the font you use. Second of all, where are the bands? You don't post a benefit show flyer without bands because you have to start selling tickets. No one's going to buy fucking tickets and fucking merch for the benefit show if you don't know who's playing. It's so weird. Yes, Flaming Leg says, did something just happen? Yeah, something did just happen, dude. The FBI just arrested 4 alleged pro-Palestine terrorists planning a coordinated improvised explosive attack in Southern California on New Year's. And so this is going to get real spicy. Everything is a psyop. Someone just said, someone's like, how can I research my House representative, former Navy SEAL Derek Van Orden? He's not from here. Yeah. I've just been learning about congressional districts and how you can run in congressional districts in the same state, even if you don't live there. So, yeah. Okay, this was what the other day, what the FBI was meeting when they said, we're building out the infrastructure in front of Congress the other day. Hang on. You know what? Let's do this real time, guys. Let's do this real time. Let me bring up when this social media account was created. All right. Instagram. Boom. I'm going to do some live streamed journalist. Netanyahu dreams of such softball press releases. Okay. Hang on. Search. All right. Again, we're going to pull up their social, which is sketch as hell, and just look at it. And you guys can give me your thoughts. This is going to be more of an interactive live stream since we're actually trying to cover a developing story in the moment, which is kind of fun. All right. Here we go. Turtle Island Liberation Front. All right. So they have a GoFundMe for Stand With Radwan and his mother. This punk show thing was posted 2 weeks ago. This video, which is going all over the internet, was posted a week ago. Mary tells the story of Turtle Island and why it connects to Palestine. Connecting the issues. All right, let me see. How many posts do they have? They've got 42 posts, guys. So this was created this summer on July 26th. We are hosting a fundraiser on August 30th for families in Palestine and Syria. Street vendor buys out LA support for a native comrade who is incarcerated. All right. So we got land back. We got Syria. We got Mexico. This says who they're fundraising for. We've got Code Pink. We've got some random families. I don't know. Like this thing has only been around for a couple months. So yeah. And they had, it's just not organized in a way like, yes, you can have all of these things like land back and ICE abolition and prison abolition, but the way it's presented is absolutely bizarre. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts? I'm going to read the chat. Yeah. Doctors Against Genocide fundraisers are legit, but they weren't affiliated with anything that they were doing. Oh, okay. I'm going to star this question about how I feel about Tallarico. Because I have a video for you. I actually do like his response. Okay. Let me see. And let's see. No substance. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Peasants Revolt. That shit ain't anything real punks would do. I know. I freaking know. That is not a punk rock fundraiser. All right. I would not be drilling down and keep bringing up that flyer unless it was just something no one would do. It's absolutely, yeah. All right. So we've got multiple attacks, all sharing timing. Is this a new push for war with Iran? What's the ask? I thought Australia already bent over as far as they could with the Zionists. No, they actually recognize the Palestinian state, which is why like a lot of Zionist influencers, especially on like the Nazi platform X, were saying, you see Australia, you see what happens. You see what happens, Donnie, when you see what happens when you recognize Palestinians, you get your hand bitten off. So that's yeah. It's just yeah. Again, art by Neely, I agree. It's so weird. It just seems off with that page. Look, if it is off, this is absolutely speculation. At least it's better than some random FBI agent carving, fuck ICE into bullet casings, still on the clip, still on the loading strip, and dropping it into the parking lot and then taking a picture of it. Remember when Kash Patel posted that? Yeah, it's all of their activism on their social media page is it's symbolic nothing. So it's just like too much has happened. I think my producer's now like looking at the page and they're just like, who uses these fonts? Because he does a lot of activism work too. All the videos are reposts. There's no actual things that this organization or this group has posted. So again, until we get if we get video footage of these court hearings that are supposed to be happening right now, tomorrow, I'll circle back. I'll make a video, but I think we can all agree that I know a lot of you are in the movement and it's just like, this is just so weird. Yeah. This is another good point. And why donate to Code Pink? Code Pink doesn't need their money. Code Pink doesn't even fundraise. Code Pink, excuse me, guys. I'm getting over being sick. That's weird too, because Code Pink doesn't even fundraise for itself. That's another good point. Code Pink only fundraises for families in Gaza. Cash was like, write something anti-ICE on it. I mean, I could ask Medea Benjamin what she thinks. I mean, like, she's been on the FBI's shit list for forever. Like, when Max Blumenthal last year was coming back from South America, he got interviewed or taken out of line. Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. He got taken out of line coming back through customs into I think it was Washington Dulles International Airport, and they sat him down in the booth, and they were just asking him about Medea Benjamin, Department of Homeland Security. So, yeah, absolutely bizarre, guys. So, what are we doing now? That goes a fair play from Cuba Committee. Okay, so now I got asked about James Tallarico. What was his response to Miriam Adelson? Okay, again, I want more. All right, but it's a hell of a lot better than what Jasmine Crockett did. Now, I screen recorded it just now while I was kind of buying time. Let's look at it. This was him from Amen on MSNBC.
Wilson was the biggest donor to your House reelection race last year. Can you clarify that? Will you be taking money from her or any organization that she supports? Will you be taking money from AIPAC?
To answer your last question, no, I will not be accepting money from AIPAC in this race.
Can I ask you to build on that, what your current stance is on Israel's assault on Gaza and what you believe should be done if, for example, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu were to come here to the United States? Would you, as a senator, support his arrest? What do you think is the correct path forward there?
Well, there's a theologian who said, I screamed at God for the starving children until I realized the starving children was God screaming at me. And God is screaming at all of us in Gaza as we speak. So to answer your question, as a U.S. Senator, I will use the financial and diplomatic leverage in this country to stop the atrocities and the suffering in Gaza.
Would you
and it's
meet
not
with,
just for the
would
people
you meet
of Gaza,
with
but it is
Netanyahu?
also for the people of...
So specifically, though, would you meet with Benjamin Netanyahu as a member of the U.S. Senate?
Not until we take clear action to protect the innocent lives that we're losing. And that's going to mean stopping offensive weapon sales to Israel. We've been talking for too long in among politicians, among journalists. The talk needs to end and the action needs to start.
He's a better candidate and he can actually win here. I don't know what to tell you. You know, a lot of these parachute influencers coming into the absolute shit fight that is Texas politics, like saying they like pretending like they know something. First of all, again, that's not the answer we want, but it's better than what she gave, which was to like deny, deflect, and make counter accusations. Be like, just look at my record. Yeah, we have looked at your record. You literally voted to defund UNRWA. So yeah, I think he's better on this. I think he's more movable, and he's way less corporate than Crockett is. So, yeah, I mean, that's my position. My position is he can actually win. He was actually, as much as I hate Jubilee, if you actually watch the James Tallarico Jubilee appearance from this weekend, where he argued 20 conservatives about immigration policy, it was freaking great. Like, he actually has an articulable immigration policy, and it was compelling. It's actually could do a lot of, if they want to talk about harm reduction and damage control, that's one way to do it. Sorry guys, I clipped, I think, Jasmine Crockett talking about her immigration policy. It was really bad. And again, Crockett says, I'm done with politics as usual, yet her top donors include private health insurers, big hospital corporations, high-power law firms, investment corporations, and real estate. In fact, half her contributions in the last cycle, 1.7 million, came from big money donors and super PACs. So I don't know. Like, I would actually like a Democrat to win a Senate seat in Texas. I think that would help a lot of like working people And Crockett's not going to win. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. She can't win. And it's not just because she's black. All right. Barbara Jordan, one of the most famous politicians in Texas history, was a black Democratic senator. Like, it's not impossible, but she's too corporate to do it. And so, you know, instead of like actually making any sort of progressive wins, which would be nice, no, we're stuck on identity politics. And this is why I'm so pissed off about this race. And of course, they're making Palestine the center of it. Like the far left radicals, you know, who want me to actually take it to corporations, all right, or supporting terrorism. Like this entire thing, again, to circle back to the beginning, is about protecting capital. Yeah. So, all right, let's see. Do we have any, got some questions here. All right. Turtles Liberation Front Arts and Crafts faction. All right. Of course, it's coordinated. Mossad and IDF on that bubble pipe with its nonsense. The FBI 50-year-olds that created this thought that Halloween font was the same as punk font. Whoops. I was thinking the same thing. Maybe they like listened to like a goth band or like a proto goth band like back in the day. But like even like the old, like not even goth bands use Halloween font. Like, could you imagine Sisters of Mercy using Halloween font? All right. Is this what the FBI was meaning when they said we were building out the infrastructure in front of Congress the other day? I don't know. You guys can debate that. Okay, you saw Tallarico's response to the Adelson question. Look, he literally just said, I'm not taking AIPAC money in this election. Like, he didn't be like, I took it, blah, blah, blah. He just said he wasn't going to do it. So if he doesn't do it, cool. That's a better response than just talking in circles. I'm like, that's the lowest bar we can expect from our politicians, just to not take genocide money and to actually not take it when they say they're not going to take it. And I think Crockett could have handled that a lot better by being like, you know, I didn't take AIPAC money, but I have had entanglements with Israel in the past. It was a bad policy. You know, engaging with Israel that way was a standard business as usual, politics as usual that a lot of people have done. And I platform myself as a progressive. I shouldn't have done it. And we're not going to do that moving forward. And if she did that, I would be like, hell yeah, let's go. How easy was that? Like 20 seconds. Like, why is it so hard to just expect the baseline shit from politicians without a bunch of liberals having a meltdown and dogpiling you in the comments section, sicking their followers on you, and you're getting death threats? So that's where we're at right now. But again, we are entering a new phase where they don't need to gen up Antifa shit anymore. They're just going to just really, really bank on the Palestine thing. And I guess like other really sketchy attacks are going to happen. The FBI is going to come up with like more sophisticated fonts to put on punk rock flyers for punk rock benefit shows. You know, I know I've like what's funny about this is we are actually going to be my own personal channel, Colonial Outcasts, going to be launching, I think like in the spring, another actual like punk, hardcore punk, and like thrash metal benefit show in LA, because like we know like all the bands in LA, and we're going to be like, hey, FBI, this is how you actually do a Palestine benefit show with punk bands in Los Angeles, just in case you need notes for the future, because that shit doesn't look legitimate at all. So yeah, and I think we'll end with Peasants Revolts saying, effing tired of liberals calling basic stuff purity test. They're the ones purity testing, and their sense of purity is no criticism of Democratic politicians who are sassy and call frigging Greg Abbott Hot Wheels or Gavin Newsom's intern who like I don't know, are like beefing with Trump. That's it. Like that's the bottom line for basic resistance. So that's what we're getting, and that's all we can basically hope for going forward. Call to action here is educate them, get stuck in, since we're waging an information war, in the comments section, drawing the parallels between AIPAC and capital interests, how AIPAC, the same donors for AIPAC, also are heavily invested in crushing labor movements, advocating for the police and carceral states, with disproportionately affects marginalized communities and people of color. Like, it's the easiest lowball to educate people on. So that's the call to action for this one. Don't fall into the hype. And personally, I'm voting for Tallarico, because he can actually win and get the independence. He knows how to talk to conservatives, and he can actually get stuff done. That's it. It's not because he's a white guy. Most white guys annoy me at this point. So that's it. Actually talk to people, get engaged in debate and conversation. You're on the right side of things and you're smart, so you'll get them over. You don't have to wear pink hats. That is my take on Texas politics. I hope you enjoyed this kind of like frenetic travel, like traveling between cities lesson episode. And I think Mint Press News is off next week. So I will try to do a Colonial Outcast episode next week if you're interested in that. But that's my own platform, not associated with Mint Press News at all. And again, if you support what we do here at Mint Press News, go to the website, because we need donations to stay afloat. Cheers, y'all. Have a happy holidays and strap in for some more bullshit. All right. Cheers.